The galaxy was wide, filled with rich planets, powerful armies, and high walls built by the rich to keep the poor out. Earth was once proud, but now it was broken. Its people were scattered across mining fields, war factories, and cold labor camps. To the rest of the galaxy, they were just dirt. Weak, useless. Logan Price stood among thousands of others. Waiting in a dusty line on the edge of the warship called Valor's End. He was tall, rough, and his hands were full of old scars. A machine voice called out names. And one by one, people were taken away, given numbers, and pushed into ships. No one told them where they were going. No one cared. They were Earthborn, and Earthborn meant nothing. Alina Brooks stood nearby, silent, her eyes sharp. She once worked on starships, designing power cores, but a mistake sent her to prison. Now she was here, treated like trash. She noticed the worn boots on the guards, the broken parts on their armor. Weak spots. Right. Logan looked up when a loud voice spoke. "You are all to report to Varian 3, the officer said. "It is a dangerous planet. Many of you will not return. Do your part and die with pride." The crowd stayed quiet. Some looked down. Others shook. Logan stepped forward. His voice was calm but loud. "We are not going." The officer stared at him. "You will follow orders or be shot." Logan did not move. His eyes were steady. "You send us to die. You think we are nothing? But we are human, same as you. We won't die for a crown that spits on us." A guard raised a gun, but before he could fire, Elena moved. She threw a small metal device into the air. It flashed. In that moment of light, Logan rushed the guard, knocked him down, and grabbed his weapon. Derek Cole, a quiet man from the back, joined in. He was fast, trained in things no one asked about. Shots rang out. Panic spread, but Logan and his team moved with a plan. They broke out through the lower doors into the cold wasteland of the planet below. They were no longer slaves. The galaxy had rejected them, but they were not broken. Not yet, not ever. Logan, Alina, and Derek moved through the rocky hills of the dead planet. Wind blew dust across the ground. The sky was gray, and the sun was weak. There were no trees, no water, only broken land and old ruins. They had nothing but stolen weapons and their will to survive. They found shelter inside a fallen bunker half buried in the ground. Metal walls were cracked, but it was dry and safe. Inside, they lit old lights and found tools, wires, and scrap. The place had once been a war outpost. Now, it would be their home. Lena worked day and night, fixing broken machines and building power from old cells. Logan trained the others. Every day, more people came. Runaways, lost soldiers, people with fire in their hearts. They'd been thrown away by the galaxy, but now they had a place to stand. Derek taught them how to move in silence, how to survive in the wild, and how to fight with more than weapons. He said the mind was the first weapon. The rest would follow. A girl named Samantha joined them. She was young, but her eyes were cold. She could shoot with great skill and never missed her mark. She did not speak much, but when she did, her voice was strong. She had grown up in the scrapyards of a mining moon, fighting for food and water. Logan gave a speech one night. He stood in front of the fire, his voice clear. "We were told we are nothing. We were sent to die. But look at us now. We stand, we fight, and we grow stronger each day. If they will not give us a place in the stars, we will take it. We are not weak. We are not broken. We are forged." The group cheered. Their eyes held hope now, not fear. They named themselves the Black Iron Brotherhood, not for power, not for pride, but to remind themselves what they were made of. Strong, unwanted, still standing. From that bunker, they would rise. From that dead land, they would bring fire to the sky. And soon, the rulers who had thrown them away would hear their name, and they would fear it. Far across the stars, in a city of tall towers and silver halls, Queen Marissa Vales stood on her balcony. She looked down at her world with cold eyes. She wore a crown of steel and a coat made from the banners of fallen worlds. She ruled many systems with hard laws and heavy hands. Her voice was sharp, and her words were law. She had heard of the Black Iron Brotherhood. She did not care at first. To her, they were only dust under her feet. But then came the news. Supply ships had gone missing. Guard stations were found burned. Prison camps were empty. Someone was breaking her order. One of her officers, Colonel Bryce Halden, stepped into the room. "The rebels are growing," he said. "They call themselves the Black Iron Brotherhood. They fight with skill. They strike fast and vanish. They are more than a gang now." The Queen turned slowly. "Then they must be crushed," she said. "Shall the first send the royal fleet?" "No," she said. "They want war. I will give them fear." She ordered the bombing of 3 outposts known to help the Brotherhood. Thousands died. Her message was simple: help them, and you will burn. Back on the dead planet, Logan watched the smoke rise from the sky. News came fast. The Queen had struck. Entire towns were gone. Families lost. Friends buried. He said nothing for a long time. Then he looked at Alina, Derek, and Samantha. "They want to break us. But they have only made us stronger. They built faster. They trained harder. Alina built new weapons from scrap. Samantha taught others to shoot. Derek led patrols deep into the wild lands. Every man and woman stood ready. They took an old war cruiser from the ruins. Alina brought it back to life. It rose from the dust like a beast from the past. They named it the Revenant. Its hull was black, its engines loud. It was not fast, but it was strong. Logan stood at the front as the ship left the ground. His voice went through the speakers. "The Queen has made her move. Now we make ours. We are not hiding anymore. We fight for every life they stole. We fight for every name they forgot." And the stars heard them coming. The Revenant moved through space like a shadow. Its black metal body showed no light. No signal came from its deck. It was a ghost in the stars, but where it went, change followed. Logan led the Brotherhood to small moons and quiet planets where the poor still lived in chains. They broke the gates of labor camps. They freed workers from coal mines. They fought guards and soldiers who served the crown. Each time they struck, more people joined them. The Brotherhood grew fast. Samantha led a team to the frozen mines of Caldris. The guards there were many and cruel, but she moved like wind between the rocks. Her rifle was silent, her eyes sharp. She took down 5 men before the rest even knew they were under attack. Her team opened the cages and armed the prisoners. By nightfall, the camp was theirs. Logan sent a message from the Revenant to every corner of the galaxy. "We are not your tools. We are not your fear. We are your reckoning." The Queen heard the message in her palace. Her face stayed calm, but her hands closed into fists. Her world was built on power, on fear. But now fear was working against her. She called her officers. Her voice was ice. "I gave them a warning. Now they give me war. Very well, let them taste what real war feels like." She sent spies into space to find the Revenant. She paid traitors with coin and safety. One of them was a man named Nathan Cross. He had once stood beside Logan. Now he gave the Queen every name he knew.
Ow.
Logan felt the change. He saw ambushes happen too fast. Camps they planned to help were already burned. Someone was feeding the Queen their steps. Jacob, a quiet fighter with a past in noble courts, found the truth. He followed Nathan, watched him send messages to the royal fleet. One night, he brought Nathan before Logan and the others. Nathan stood shaking. "They had my family," he said. "I had no choice." Logan stared at him. "We all had no choice. We made one." He did not kill him, but he cast him out. Nathan walked into the cold wasteland alone. The Brotherhood watched in silence. Trust had been broken, but their fire burned stronger. Their fight was not over. It had only begun. The Brotherhood had lost good people. 3 camps were gone. Many fighters were dead. Nathan's betrayal had cut deep. Logan did not let the pain slow them down. He stood before his people, inside the steel walls of the Revenant. His voice was steady and full of fire. "They think we are weak now. They think we will break. But we are still here, and we are not finished." Alina worked in the engine room day and night. She built a new power system for the ship, using parts from old drones and wrecked ships. The Revenant was now stronger and faster. She also made a stealth field that hid them from radar. No ship could see them unless they were close. Derek led a team into deep space where the Queen's scouts were hiding. He moved through dark rocks and silent dust. His team struck fast and left nothing behind. They sent a clear message. The Brotherhood still had sharp teeth. Samantha was still healing from a wound to her side, but she refused to rest. She taught new fighters how to shoot, how to stay calm, and how to aim before pulling the trigger. Many of the new recruits were young and angry. She showed them how to use that anger the right way. Jacob came to Logan with a message from one of their friends on the Outer Rim. The Queen is building something. New weapon. They call it the Nova Lance. It can burn a whole planet in one strike. She wants to end us in one blow. Logan looked at the map. The weapon was being built in a factory on a moon close to the royal capital. It was guarded by fleets and towers. No one had ever reached that place and lived. He looked at Elena, Derek, and Samantha. We are going there. We are not waiting for the fire to come. We're going to put it out before it starts. They broke the plan into parts. One team would cut the power, one would fight the guards, one would plant the bombs. The Revenant turned toward the Queen's heart. They had no fear now, only purpose. The fire she built would never touch another world. The fire would end with them. The moon that held the Nova Lance was covered in steel and fire. It had walls that reached the sky and towers with guns that watched every corner. Ships flew in lines above the surface. Soldiers marched in rows. The Queen had built it to be her strongest base. She believed no one could touch it, but she was wrong. The Revenant came through the dark like a shadow. Its engines were quiet, hidden by Elena's stealth field. Inside the ship, every fighter was ready. Armor was strapped tight. Weapons were loaded. No one spoke. They all knew what was at stake. Elena led the team to the control core. They landed near a waste tunnel and moved through dark halls under the base. Sparks flew as she cut through locked doors. A group of guards found them. Shots were fired. Elena was hit in the arm, but she kept going. Her blood fell on the floor, but her hands kept working. She reached the power room and dropped a blast charge inside the main engine. They dressed in enemy armor and moved past guard posts without a sound. When they reached the weapon chamber, they dropped the act and struck. Derek fought with speed and force. He used every skill he had learned in the wildlands. His team planted bombs near the weapon's fuel line. Samantha led the third team. Her job was to keep the path clear. She climbed the towers and took out snipers with clean shots. Even with pain still in her side, she did not miss once. When the sirens screamed, she kept firing. Her team held the line until the last charge was set. Logan went alone to the command center. He faced Colonel Bryce Halden, the Queen's top soldier. They fought with blades and fists. The fight was long and hard. Bryce was strong, but Logan had something more. He had the will of every fallen brother and sister behind him. He struck the final blow and walked away as the alarm rang louder. All teams rushed back to the ship. As the Revenant pulled away, the moon behind them lit up in flames. The Nova Lance was gone. One weapon had fallen, but the Queen still ruled. The Brotherhood would face her next. The fall of the Nova Lance spread across the stars like fire through dry grass. People in the deep colonies heard the news and raised their heads. The Queen had lost her greatest weapon. The Black Iron Brotherhood was no longer just a rumor. They were a storm. On the world of New Halron, the Queen's capital towers touched. The clouds and ships flew in thick lines over her palace. Inside her throne room, Queen Marissa Vale stood in silence. Her face was still, but her mind burned. She had ruled with fear for many years. Now, fear had turned against her. "They are coming," said one of her guards. She looked at him. "Then let them come." She called every ship she had. Fighters, cruisers, and gunships rose above the palace like a wall of steel. She gave orders to shoot down anything that moved toward her world. But deep inside, she knew it would not be enough. The Revenant flew toward New Halran with its engines burning bright. The Brotherhood was ready. Inside the ship, Logan stood with Elena, Derek, Samantha, and Jacob. Their faces were hard. Their eyes were calm. "This is it," said Logan. "She took our people, our homes, our place in the stars. Now we take it back." The Revenant broke through the outer line of defense. Gunships chased it, but Elena guided them through fire and smoke. Samantha fired from the ship's side guns, striking down enemy ships with sharp skill. Derek led the drop team. They landed in the city, fighting through streets full of royal guards. The people of New Halron watched from their windows. Some hid, but many came out into the open. They had been silent for years, afraid to speak, afraid to rise. Now they saw the Brotherhood standing, fighting not for power but for freedom. Some joined the fight. They picked up fallen weapons and stood beside the rebels. Logan made his way to the palace. He reached the gates and pushed through with Jacob at his side. Inside the throne room, Queen Marissa waited, dressed in black armor. She held a sword made of gold and steel. "You came all this way to die?" she said. "No," said Logan. "I came to end what you started." They fought. Blade met blade. Sparks flew across the floor. She was trained, fast and cold. But Logan had something she did not. He had purpose. He had loss. He had every name she tried to erase. She struck his side, but he stood firm. He knocked her sword away and held his own at her throat. She looked at him without fear. "Do it," she said. "No," he said. "You don't get to be a martyr. You get to live and see everything you've built fall." He turned to the camera above the throne, streamed across the galaxy. "This is the truth," Logan said. "This queen ruled with lies and blood, but we are still here. We are not dogs, or not tools. We are free, and we will never kneel again." The people saw it. The rulers saw it. The fear broke. The royal flags came down. Ships turned away from battle. Some officers dropped their guns. Others stood beside the Brotherhood. The old power was falling. Queen Marissa was taken away in silence. She was sent back to Earth, the place she once forgot. Now she would live among those she cast out. The Brotherhood did not take the throne. They broke it, the center of the palace. They tore down the queen's banners and raised none in return. They called no one king, no one queen. A new council was formed, made of workers, builders, teachers, and soldiers. The voice of the people was loud now, and it would not be silenced again. Logan stood outside the palace, looking at the sky. Alina came to stand beside him. "It's done," she said. "No," he said. "It's just begun." Stars were no longer closed to them. The galaxy had tried to break them, but they had been forged into warriors. Now the stars belonged to all.